Right now, Christians, conservatives, and freedom-loving Americans are being censored and abused by our cultural gatekeepers. Why? Because we don't fight back. Not anymore. Freedom of Creativity is a directory of creatives and businesses who value the American principle of freedom. If you've got talent, join Freedom of Creativity to connect with other like-minded creatives. You'll find creative projects to collab on, and you can post your own dream project and recruit a team to make it happen. And if you're a business owner, list your company on Freedom of Creativity so we can build a directory of businesses that share our values. It is vital to speak with our wallets and sow into businesses that support freedom over censorship and cancel culture. Listeners, guys, you must take action to preserve the country you love. Founder Tim Columba needs your help. Freedom of Creativity won't work unless people sign up and participate. Get listed and start rebuilding our culture today for free at freedomofcreativity.com. It's free to join and free to use, but if you upgrade and support Tim's fight for our culture as a fan of my show, the Rookie American Podcast, Tim is giving listeners 50% off for life when you use the promo code LISSETTE. Join today at freedomofcreativity.com, spread the word, and reach out to Tim Columba on social media at Freedom of Creativity US, where you can also watch his amazing videos. If you don't start influencing our culture, who will? The culture is in your hands. Welcome to the Rookie American Podcast. I'm your girl, Lisette Carter, and today we are going to discuss the comprehensive sexuality education in Massachusetts public school. And I'm going to be reading, first off, before I introduce my guest, from the New Boston Post. This was actually printed January of 2020. Is it age appropriate to introduce 12-year-old children to anal sex? Is it medically accurate to encourage students to protect against sexually transmitted infections by using non-microwavable saran wrap as a prophylactic for oral sex? Planned Parenthood thinks so, and so does the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, which lists Planned Parenthood's Get Real curriculum as in compliance with the state's health frameworks. In schools across the Commonwealth, Get Real and other comprehensive sexuality education curricula like it are used to instruct middle school and high school kids how to participate in dangerous and unhealthy sexual activity. Comprehensive sexuality education does not refer to sex education programs in general, but rather to a specific form of graphic. Here's how you do this manual that claims to be quote unquote age appropriate and medically accurate. It is designed to change the sexual and gender norms of society, promote high-risk sexual behaviors, and encourage even the youngest of children to experiment sexually. It is no wonder that Planned Parenthood is pushing it in our schools. Planned Parenthood administrators know that if they sexualize young people, they will create new customers who seek out their abortion services, sexually transmitted infection treatments, and transgender hormone therapies. Monica Klein, a former Planned Parenthood sex educator, describes the organization's educational programs as the perfect business plan for lifelong customers. Now, all of you guys know that I just did an abortion episode. If you haven't heard it, go back and listen to it on primarily Planned Parenthood and the original intent of Planned Parenthood. I don't want to get into that right now because this is kind of mind-blowing what's happening here, especially in our own community in the Worcester County area, which is where I reside, and also where the wonderful Miss Karina Wallace resides as well. Welcome, Karina.
Hi.
So now the Worcester has just passed this to be included comprehensive sexuality education. They're calling it the 3 R's. Can you tell people, parents, what that is?
So the 3 R's is a K-12 comprehensive sex education curriculum. And man, I just have so many words. It's just graphic, porn. It just normalizes sex from kindergarten to 12th grade. Now, we talked to a few city council people, and they promised us that it was only going to be 7th grade to 12th grade, so middle school and high school. But the 3 R's is a curriculum from K to 12. So we were lied to, and you guys can, look it up online. It's just like a manual to have sex in each grade, starting with 5 years old, and it's just inappropriate and unacceptable.
Wow. Now, what are the R's stand for?
It stands for rights, respect, and responsibility. So it's kind of catchy. If a parent's looking at that, you're like, oh yeah, I want my kids to learn the rights and the respect and responsibility. But no, it's just that's not it. It's just teaching total opposite. And I have examples, and we can talk more about that because it's just.
Let's talk about it. That's why we're here. We're here to get down. Let's talk about, listen, parents have no idea what's going on, let alone the people that are in communities. I've been, and I've said this before, I go to my own town meeting and I'm literally the youngest person there. People are on oxygen tanks. People have no idea what's going on in the community. They have no idea where their tax dollars are going to. And so when it comes to the school side of things, when you have parents that are working full time, both sides of the parents, maybe they don't have time to go to those meetings, and the people that are advocating for these kinds of things do. It's important for parents to know. I mean, I talked to some parents in East Boston. I think they had passed this through as well. And I talked to some of the parents out there, and they have no clue what's going on in their kids' curriculum. They have no idea what they're learning. And so, we want to know, let's get down to it. Let's inform these parents. What is going on? Tell us.
All right, so I'll start with like a 7th grade lesson, or like a short lesson from what the teacher is actually teaching. And you as a parent, just let me know if you think it's right or wrong. But they want to teach in 7th grade that it's important and fun for 12-year-olds. If you're in 7th grade, you're 12 years old, to bathe together and to mutually masturbate. So I don't know. I'm just sorry. Like, I have watched like so many videos and talked to so many parents before this. How is that appropriate? How do you want your 7th grader, your 12-year-old boy or girl, to bathe together and masturbate together? I don't know how that cannot seem to parents as a risky behavior, going to sex after, or just, I don't know. I don't know how the other parents see that this is okay. And that's just for 12-year-olds. The curriculum starts in kindergarten and in 3rd grade. In 3rd grade, they will like your 8, 9-year-old child. They have graphic pictures of a vagina and a penis, and they have the labels of parts, and your child will be coloring and will be naming each part.
Oh my God.
It's just like a manual to have sex, to know what each part, to have fun. It teaches to have multiple partners. Why would you want your child to have multiple partners? That's just a risk to get STD, to get hurt. And these are children under 16 trying to learn about sex and how to do it, and that it's fun. I'm sorry, children under 16, children in 7th grade, 12 years old, in 3rd grade, they are not responsible enough. They are not mature enough to handle this talks, and they just don't understand. That's just a few examples. There's a lesson in middle school that they have the middle schoolers search for porn sites for anal sex, and it's a challenge who finds the worst one. if you search anal sex or porn sites, you're seeing nudity, you're seeing videos of disgusting things that kids should not be watching. I just don't understand how this is appropriate to any parent having a child under 16 years old, which is the law. A child under 16 cannot consent to sex.
Right. What are they teaching the kindergarten? You said that it was K, right?
Yes, kindergartens, one of the lessons is, and it's all online. You can search 3Rs. You can pull out every lesson in the book. In kindergarten, they teach, they start off with saying, this is how your mother and father make love. They have sex. A female has a vulva and a male has a penis. Um, and the vagina has that elasticity. Sorry, like I'm saying it wrong, but it can stretch to different sizes to fit the penis. I'm sorry, once again, how
Well,
is that okay with your 5-year-old child learning that? Um, it's not appropriate. It's not acceptable. Why are we such in a rush or have the agenda to teach our children about sex? Why? Because, of course, oh, and also the 3Rs. It's a curriculum by Advocates for Youth, which are in partner with Planned Parenthood. So it's all a business. It's all for our children, our babies, to get business for them. I'm
I just
sorry.
I
I'm
just don't
so
understand. This is so wild because how is it, how is Planned Parenthood, how on earth did they end up partnering with the state? I mean, I get it. They get federal funding for, like, I get it for abortions, but how is it just blows my mind that this community advocated for this and it's actually going into the school. And Christians, I mean, not that we won't fight against it, but we just had no idea that this was happening. This is an article from 2020, January 2020. I didn't hear about this until like the beginning of this year.
So in 2019, those same people uh, brought it up to the school committee in Worcester because we had the Michigan model, which is sex. It's a risk avoidance curriculum. So thank God, like the school committee back then in 2019 said no, like we're not gonna change the Michigan model. This is appropriate. This teaches kids to wait, the risks. Um, so for 2 years, the school committee was working with youth groups, and they were, training the youth. They were talking to the youth, like, what do you want to learn about sex? Oh, how can we do it? They did all this 2-year work. I'm sure it was hard work. And they did it behind parents' back.
Yeah.
So parents are the caregivers of the children who go to the Worcester Public Schools. Why would you not include the parents? Why would you not have consent from the parents for the kids to learn this? Why? Well, of course. Why? Because it's inappropriate. Like there's no other reason. Like parents would not be for it. They
Right.
would fight for it. Teaching sex, in most Christians, in most parents that I've talked to like over 100 parents already, because I'm one of the 3 organizers in Worcester's to do an opt-out movement. They just did not hear about it. The parents were not included. And if they did have an opportunity to talk to the school committee or to learn about what they want to teach the kids about sex, they would be against it. So we had a risk avoidance curriculum. It was working fine. And now we're going to have a comprehensive sex curriculum starting in the fall. Southbridge already adapted, and their teen pregnancies are 50% higher. If you're teaching the kids and encouraging the kids to have sex, that's what they're going to do.
That's wild.
So a little bit more about the op movement. It's me, it's another concerned parent, and the wonderful Chanel Saucy. She's running for school committee. One of her priorities is the sex curriculum. We just want to inform parents. Parents do not know what is going on. Parents didn't, only a few attended the school committee meetings. They were not informed. No paper went home, no email went home, no phone call went home. They call us every day. They email us every day, robocalls. There was nothing sent home. Not even a survey. Hey, what would you like the schools to teach your child about sex? Nothing. So our opt-out movement is to inform parents. We have a inform parents Worcester Facebook group. There's over 100 parents on there already. We want to get more. We did a petition before the school committees. We had over 800 signatures. That just shows you right there, 800 parents did not want this curriculum in the Worcester public schools. But they still voted yes. They still starting in the fall. And the opt-out movement is, we want so many parents to opt out, because if many kids opt out, they're gonna have to find a different activity for those children.
Right.
You know, and it's gonna cost more money. They're gonna have to hire more educators. Yep. So it's a fight till the start of the fall. We wanna protect our babies, because this is not appropriate. This is not medically accurate.
What are some steps? I know that, we can begin by contacting our state legislator and saying, hey, I oppose. Is it an act relative to healthy youth? Is that what it is? I oppose that.
Yes. So,
Okay.
It has the name of, youth, healthy, to try to sneak in there and pass it. But, it's not healthy for our youth. It does not protect our youth. It encourages our youth to have sex.
It's kind of like the pro-choice argument too. They were able to twist that wording, pro-choice, when it should have been pro-abortion, just to make it seem like, pro-America, pro-choice, pro-independence, pro-feminism. They wanted it to seem like it was a good thing to do, and they were able to warp the minds of millions of people to get that legislation through. Isn't it interesting how the devil can warp? I mean, honestly, I heard about this this weekend. I actually went to a 2A rally for Flag Day, and there were lots of people in there saying that we don't have a political issue in this country. We have a spiritual issue. I mean, this is a spiritual, this is literally the devil coming into our schools and warping the youth. You know what I mean? And it's pretty, I don't know the word. It's just kind of mind blowing to see that we're not going to allow for this to happen, but that this has happened. And it's because it's happened right under our noses, and because we're not paying attention to what's going on. So we can start by calling our state legislator. If this is happening in your state, please figure out what the school committee is doing when the meetings are. Figure out, what sex ed curriculum they are having in your state, in your town, because I know not a lot of the towns are there are some towns that may not be adopting this in your state, but some are. I can probably assure you that the cities because that's where Planned Parenthood operates in the cities.
Mhm.
They don't operate in the suburbs. And there's a reason for that. And
Yeah.
so, I can assure you that the cities are probably going to be adopting this kind of legislation, or this kind of education in the schools. So there's one that's called Massachusetts Informed Parents that I know I'm a part of. Yours is Worcester Informed Parents if you're in the Central Mass area, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so what are the next steps in combating that right now until the fall?
So we have the opt-out form in English and in Spanish. I mean, I guess join our Facebook group first,
Mhm.
and it's available there. I don't have the link, but we have those. So you need to fill out the form. You need to opt your child. It's for the year 2021 to 2022. If you don't fill out that form, you're not going to get it. The schools say yes, there's an opt-out system. They'll get the forms. The kids will either not bring it home, it'll stay in the desk, they'll be at the bottom of the book bag. If you do see it, it'll go in your pile. You'll never sign it, and your kid will take those courses. And they're getting implemented not just in the health ed. They're manuring, they're getting everywhere. Like, let's talk about it in math class, let's talk about it in science class. So you need to sign the opt-out form. It's easy, it's like 5 sentences. And if for some reason you can't find it or it's hard, just write a simple letter. you know I am the parent of the child. I want him to be opt out of any sexuality, uh, gender specific curriculum in the school for the year 2021-2022. It's that easy. But we have an opt out movement already happening in Worcester, and if you sign the online opt form, our responsibility is we are physically bringing it to each school. We are reassuring the parents we want the school to see us there with however many opt-out forms, and we are giving it to them physically, because we don't want to hear, oh, I never got it got lost, or you did it right now and this is a new year. We don't want those excuses. We need to protect our children, so we need to take actions or anything necessary and make sure those opt-out forms get to those schools. um it's just an attack on the family unit,
Mhm.
and it's happening everywhere. Search New York. There was a teacher, a health ed teacher, showing the kids how to do porn. There were little cartoons, and it's called Amaze. And Amaze curriculum and videos are by Advocates of Youth, which is the partnership with Planned Parenthood. It's everywhere. It started in Worcester already. 3 weeks ago, in a Worcester public school, a 9-year-old was shown how to put a condom on a cucumber at 9 years old.
My
The
gosh.
parent does not want the news. She doesn't want to talk to the principal. I begged this parent to tell me what school it is. If you keep silent, our babies are going to get hurt. Our babies are going to see these things, and they're going to learn, and it leads to doing it. It leads to risky behavior. It leads to pregnancy. It leads
Abortion.
to anything. Yes. And that's how Planned Parenthood makes its business on our poor, uneducated babies, uneducated families, uh, families of color, uh, uh, people that are confused or feel different. That's that's how they do it. It's everywhere. It's nationwide, countrywide. Parents, Google it. You see parents crying out to city council and superintendents. If you don't want to hear a parent speak in this meeting because you feel uncomfortable, how is it not uncomfortable
Right.
to teach our children?
Yeah, I've seen those videos. I've seen them. And it's hard for me to believe that it's actually in my backyard right now. it's actually really difficult for me to have this conversation because I have a 5-year-old, and you know, going through what we went through this year and all of the exposure. I mean, I've always known the exposure of the, state run schools, and knowing what they teach. I have teenagers here too, so I know the stuff that they come home with. I'm like, what are they teaching you? I mean, this is outside of the sex ed curriculum. This is with like an English class. They're not learning English, they're learning about white privilege, they're learning about pro BLM, they're learning about all of the different genders that there are. Teach English, like editing and grammar, and it's it's just it's just, I just can't wrap my head around the fact that the devil has been able to come in this far into our own into our own home and warp the minds of our own family members for so long. I mean, they've been doing this for a long time. We've just been catching on now because of COVID, and we've been able to see what these kids are studying in the home, what they're being taught.
I mean,
Insane.
real quick, another example, my friend, her 14-year-old daughter was in a youth leadership um, class, about college readiness. What's your passion? Get ready for college, education. Well, she just happened to pop in the room, to listen. Oh, let's see what you're learning about college. They were talking about sex. Okay, they were talking about healthy relationships, and they were talking about when are you ready for sex, and just sex. I'm sorry, but I do not understand how sex is in a college readiness class for youth, for 14 years old. Okay, you don't have the consent to say, yes, I want to have sex. Your mind is not mature enough to handle just all that stuff that comes with it. Even adults can't handle it. Okay, we can't be
Yeah.
in like proper relationships. Why do we want our poor little babies, our teenagers? And you know what, I want to say, the opt-out movement, or people that don't want the comprehensive sex, we're not saying we don't want to talk about sex. We're not saying uh ignore it or wait or whatever. We're not saying that. We're saying, yes, it's very important, we should be having these conversations, but what's appropriate and what's inappropriate, that's what's different.
Right.
We do not need to be talking about porn, anal sex, using saran wrap.
Saran wrap.
Yes,
Crazy.
that's not appropriate sex talk. It should be happening in the homes, like when you feel your children are ready to learn, or they're mature. Yes, they see it on YouTube, on TV, they hear it from their friends. If you're a trustworthy and approachable parent, they will come to you. But if we want to, if like there there like there's the foster children in children that have bad parents, so the teachers are their second trusted
Yeah.
source. Okay, but it's just not your job to teach about anal sex. Kids don't need to know that. They don't. Bathing together, multiple partners, it's not appropriate. It's not the right sex talk to our kids, and especially in elementary school. No, yes, talk about the human autonomy. Yes,
Anatomy.
female,
Yeah.
males have different parts, and that's
Yeah.
it. Not how to do stuff, what are they used for, and how to do it.
And that should be in an anatomy class in high school when, you're taking anatomy for pre-college nursing or whatever. Yeah, I would not want the school to talk about sex at all to my child. That is something that I would like to take the responsibility for. And I think that, did you know that Massachusetts, and I have this on another podcast, but Massachusetts was the first state to implement public school. And the reason why they wanted to start public school was so that they could teach kids how to read and write the Bible, so that they could have upstanding citizens And they actually had this act called the Old Satan Deluder Act, where it was this is the act, and then this is the reason why we're starting public school, so that way the enemy doesn't have room to come into your mind and pollute it with this trash, just like this, and actually breed good upstanding citizens and eventually good politicians that stand on the word of God. And how far away are we from that right now? We are literally on the and this is Massachusetts. You would think that we would be protecting that. And this is, it's kind of like I went to Plymouth. I went to Plymouth on Friday, and the tour that I did with, I know we're getting off topic, but it just infuriates me. The tour that we did, the nonprofit that I was with was called the Jenny Museum, and they're the only tour company that actually tells the truth about the pilgrims and their encounters with God. And everybody in that town in Plymouth is trying to shut them down because they don't want God anywhere, anything to do. Don't tell anybody the truth. And that town is completely woke now. There's flags everywhere. And the gentleman told me he was about 80 years old. He's like, they've been trying to shut me down every single day because I speak the truth. They don't want the people to know the truth about what really happened here. And it blows my mind that Plymouth, where it began, Cape Cod, all that, where it all began, has now completely turned, and now they're fighting to keep God in there. How did we get to this place where we are the pioneers of all of that, and all of a sudden we're literally in the complete opposite side of the spectrum? Man, I get fired up. This is something that every single parent needs, they need to be informed about. How can what do we do? Do we send out letters? What do we like? Can we send out letters to every parent in them? Like, tell me what to do. What can I do to contribute? Can I give you money to send out parents in all of Worcester County? Like, how does this, what can we do? What else can we do?
So we have been working with Massachusetts Family Institute.
Yep.
They have that Mass Inform Facebook group, but their job is to watch those little acts trying to sneak in Boston, and just inform parents all over Massachusetts. So if you text Worcester to 797979, you get all the steps to do. It'll show up. You can read the 3 R's, you can read it for yourself, and you can figure it out if it's appropriate or not appropriate for your children. And I'm telling you right now, it's not appropriate. They'll have the city council, the school committee members' names and email address. You can email them and say you oppose this, you're a concerned parent, you do not want this in our schools. It has the link to the opt-out form. So please text Worcester to 797979, and all the steps that you need to take and all the information is just one text away. And if there's new updates or anything going on, they'll be texting you again. Michael King, he's in charge of that. So Michael King works with Mary, and they're just been amazing. They talk to us. They're the ones that told us that it's sneaking in Worcester, and they showed us the 3 R's, and we're like, what is this happening? And then the school committee meeting came real quick. Like, we had little time to prepare to voice our concerns. Like, no, we do not want this for our kids, because they did not include our parents. They did not. They were not transparent about it. They did it in a sneaky way. So if you text that, you get all the information. You get the links to the opt-out form. You get the link to join our Facebook group and to email the school committee members. Yeah, that's the most information all in one place that you can do, because this is inappropriate and it's just not acceptable for our children. We have to protect our children. We have to take actions. We cannot be those parents that are silent and ignore and trust our school systems to protect our kids, because they're not. they're not protecting our kids.
Blindly trusting. You know what? I bet there's a lot of parents that don't even know that don't have social media, and maybe they don't know, they're working too much to go and find the information, and they don't know unless a letter comes in the mail or their kid comes home with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's probably a lot of parents that are in that boat as well. So I mean, let's figure out a way to communicate with them. You know what I mean?
Yes, I had a meeting right before you. We're forming street teams.
Yeah.
We're knocking on doors. We are going to be knocking on doors. We're going to be passing out. Maybe people cannot go in the computer. We're going to be passing out hard copies. We're going to be showing the parents the curriculum. If you don't agree with this, sign it, and we will bring it to the school, for you. So that's
good.
Yeah, that's our next steps with street teams, talking to everyone. I talk every day. If I have an opportunity to talk to a new person, hey, do you know what's going on in the schools? Have you heard about the sex curriculum? Nobody knows. Parents were not informed. They do not know that this is going on.
Wow.
So yes, like, I'm so happy that, thank you for having me here, for trying to spread this, because we have to do anything we can to spread and inform parents. Parents don't know. They work so hard. They're trusting the schools. They're trusting our school committee members who live over there, who do not have children in Worcester public schools. They're trusting those adults to teach our kids this disgusting stuff that's not appropriate, that takes you away from God, that breaks the family apart, disconnects, talks about, you have the right to say no, to hug your grandparent or your parent. No, they're trying to break down all our family values. It's very, very sad. I'm very passionate, and this is why I'm one of the organizers, and I'm doing anything possible to protect our babies.
100%. Well, Karina, thank you so much for coming on. This is definitely something that we need to get out and share. If you are listening and you are from Massachusetts or anywhere, really, any other state, share it with as many parents as you possibly can. We know that some parents don't do podcasts, but they will do YouTube. I'll be sure to get it out on YouTube, because that seems like something that most people tend to gravitate towards. But share it, guys. Follow the action steps. Do everything that you can to protect the youth, because they are the next generation coming on, and we want to make sure that we do everything in our power to cover them as parents, and to make sure that this filth doesn't affect their lives, because it'll affect them long term, and it'll affect everything that they do. So, woo, that was, I don't know how you can talk about this all day. That was 20 minutes. That was difficult for me.
I'm drained.
Yeah. But girl, stay on so I can pray over you. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for listening in, and make sure you share the podcast. Thank you, Karina, again.
Thank you.